Shalom, blessing to you and yours. Welcome to the message of Yahuwah. I am your host for today, and we are going to deal with some subject matter, me as a voice crying in the wilderness. I want to get that in there. Now, when I was a boy or young lad living in Buffalo, New York, went to the movie theater one day to see the musical Porgy and Bess with its stars Sidney Poitier and Dorothy Dandridge. There are, of course, a number of scenes in the movie, but one of the parts that captured my mind was the phrase that was used, the things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. And not being necessarily so, that means that some things in the Bible are simply lies. And that's what we're going to discuss today. The lies in the Bible. It's kind of interesting that one of the first lies, that we will find in the scriptures is God. We've mentioned this before, is God. But let me say this also, that when the translators, the thieves, if you will, stole the original text of the scriptures, one of the things that they did was to remove the name of the creator, Yahu Ulhim, Yahu the Almighty. They removed that name so that when anyone would read, and in a number of cases, study the scriptures, their minds have been seduced to relate to the translation according to the desires, the choices of those that did the translating. They wanted to be in control of our thoughts and our thought process relating to our relationship to our Heavenly Father. They stole control of that, my friends, brothers and sisters. Now, the word God, again, was not in the original scriptures. Again, they changed all of that. And with them being in control, it's not so much about how we conduct ourselves. It's about how, again, we relate to what's written. Now, again, it's about control. God is in control. And if we will allow our minds to be opened and for entry, for truth, then we will gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as to who it is that we are to worship. Now then, once again, in the originals, there was no such deity or being with the name God. If we want to know again and understand, one of the things that we can do is to reference mythology, because that's exactly who God is. He is simply a myth, a non-existing deity, if you will. God is not the creator. He was created by man. Not to offend anyone, but simply stating the truth, just trying to be to everyone and as many as possible to be what meant to be. And that is a help, a servant, a supporter to mankind, especially to the seed of Abraham, especially to the seed of Yasharul, falsely translated as Israel. That's idolatry. That's idolatry also. It's interesting that the multiplied millions upon millions of people are trying to get to that place in spirit to have the assurance, as one of the spiritual groups of yesteryear saying, I'm on the right road now, to assure ourselves that we're moving in the right direction. But as long as we are engaged in idolatrous worship, we're backing away from what is meant for us to be. We're not applying ourselves according to the design given to us to live by. God is encroachment. He's impediment. In fact, our Father Yahoo cautions us. When you, this might be a repeat worth repeating, when you enter into the land of your enemies, don't engage with their idols, because they will be a snare to you. They will be an impediment to you. They will destroy you. And the destruction doesn't necessarily have to be physical death, but rather spiritual death. And so, the voice that was crying in the wilderness, the voices that are crying in the wilderness at this present time, the masses are not being attentive to, because the lies that are in the Bible, being supported by men and women, false teachers, false prophets, are an impediment to your spiritual growth. We can understand why a number of people in this country, and perhaps, or more than likely, in the other parts of the Western world, they're being turned off with religion because there's no practicality. There's no comfort. There's so much vanity in religion. And religion's purpose, once again, is for control. So, we're not to be controlled by religion, because religion, the only thing religion creates is a mess. Now, in the scriptures, the report is that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Now, the truth of that matter and passage is, God is the object. God is confusion, not just the object, but God is confusion. Why? Because he's divided. He's divided in religions, if you will. He's divided with the Protestant movement. He's divided among the religion of the Arabs, Muslim, if you will. The Jews, too, included, as they are called, if you will. There are different groups. And where there are different groups, there's division, of course. And then you have some people, as we have experienced in this country, there are people who have their own agenda, if you will. And they're using God and God worship to get them to where they want to be. They see these big name preachers, big name political leaders, and so the desire is to enter into that arena and have some impact and have people to believe what I'm saying they are, with the objective that is unchanged since this part of the scriptures were penned. And that is, the love of money is the root of all evil. There's so much evil in the political arena. There is so much wickedness in the arena of religion. Politicians know that they can't produce what they're promising people. But that's what the people want to hear. They would rather have some mortal to answer to them than to have the favor of the Elohim, the Almighty. That's what they would rather have. So, what do the politicians do? They make promises, and then they say to the voting public, God bless you. And in fact, what God is doing is cursing you through false worship. There's no peace to the wicked, the Almighty declares. No peace. But that doesn't make any difference to the masses, because when they open up that book again, one of the first things they see is God. And it takes some doing to come away from all of that nonsense. And also, when you do, it's taxing, my friends, brothers and sisters, because you're going away from that which has become normal. You're not there being a part of their creativity, if you will. Children's church, singles church, married church, divorced church, church. And in every phase of it, my friends, there's deception. Why? Because God is ruling. God is in control. And so, who is this God? Well, when we do the homework of mythology, we'll see that God was the deity who was worshipped in Canaan, if you will, and his name was El. And this El also became Elohim, the same one. When you refer to God, that's who that deity, that God deity is. He is called El, plural with Elohim. He is said to have defecated and urinated on himself. He is said to have had a wife whose name was Astarte. That's who El, God, is, the same one. Now, perhaps I'm reiterating here, but how is it that one who is supposed to be almighty, having all power, having all of this at his disposal, yet he can't control his bladder or his bowels? My friends, brothers and sisters, we all know better than that. Problem is, the preachers, the teachers just ain't teaching it. Once again, because the preachers know if they start telling you the truth, their revenue is going to fall off. And they don't want that to happen, because after all, that's the only reason they're in there. I guarantee you, my friends, brothers and sisters, if pastor's salary, pastor's anniversary, pastor's birthday, first lady's birthday, money to buy clothes for the first lady because she looks so good, money, money, money. The love of money, my friends, once again is still the root cause of all evil. Some followed after it, failed. And that's exactly, oh yeah, they think they're getting away with something now. But they haven't seen the coming of the day of Yahuwah and Yahusha, but they haven't seen that. They haven't seen what will be their end. It doesn't matter, because the love of money has blinded them. They don't want to see. Just show me the money, that's all I want, they're saying. And so they're engaged in God worship. And God worship, in God worship, fornication is okay. In God worship, adultery is okay. In God worship, you can divorce your wife and get another. In God worship, you can walk off and leave your family to fend for themselves. That's the route that masses are taking. In God worship, this country with all of its wealth, all of this wealth, and it breaks my heart when I go out and about and see people living on the streets. Just a few days ago, we were out and about, and there was a man across the street from the convenience store where we stopped. There was a man across the street. It was raining, serious raining. He had a bicycle, and he had a wagon tied on to the back of his bicycle. He seemingly stopped under a tree to shelter himself while he was moving, and he made some adjustment, and he continued on his way, pouring down rain. Yet, in the great city, or I should say the great cities across this country, with all of its wealth, homelessness shouldn't be, my friends. Being unemployed should not be to those who want to work. There's a segment called the working poor. They're working but don't have enough money to support themselves. This country is too rich, too wealthy for that. You understand? It's so extreme. There was an account where this one man had to divorce his wife in order to get benefits. That shouldn't be. We've seen, my friends, here in Atlanta and some of its suburbs, we've seen houses some boarded up, some with brush grown up around it. We've even seen entire apartment complexes boarded up. Why can't all of these people, with all of that money that they have, come together as one and determine we're going to do something about this? Why can't all of the athletes who are being paid millions of dollars put their heads together off of the field and determine we're going to do something about this situation in America, instead of buying a fleet of cars that they don't need, watches, jewelry, all kinds of jewelry, clothes, and stuff like that? Why can't they determine that we're going to do something about this? You know why they can't do it, my friends? Because God is in control. Money has become God to a lot of people. The more they get, the more they want. The more they get, the more they take, because that's what some of them are doing too. It doesn't matter about the sufferings of people, because they're believers in God too, and they're worshiping God on their own terms. My friends, brothers and sisters, once again, it doesn't have to be that way. Surely, people who are living on the streets don't want to be that way. I'm talking about whole families who don't have a place sufficient to lay their heads. But yet and still, it appears that wealthy people are just turning a blind eye to the sufferings of others. People are more selfish, self-centered, conceited, arrogant, and all of those, because they don't want to conform to being concerned about his neighbor. We can do better than that, my friends, brothers and sisters, millionaires, billionaires. We can do better than that, much better than that. I might add that these reports coming from this disseminator is meant for everyone. They're for everyone, but not to everyone. Why not to everyone? Because everyone don't care. Everyone is not concerned. Everyone have their own agenda, and that their agenda is being promoted by their God. Once again, when you open up that book that many call the Bible, the first lie is God. That's tantamount, my friends. But if you really want to know the truth, once again, do the homework, look at mythology, and you'll see, and you'll know that what is being said here is not to belittle, berate, offend anyone, but if truth does that, so be it. The objective, my friends, brothers and sisters, is to please our Heavenly Father. That's all that matters. If He's pleased, then we should be satisfied. We should be at peace with Him. When we are at peace with Him, He is pleased. But obviously, the masses are not concerned about that. They want what they want when they want it, and they're getting it, my friends. And so, once again, the things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. God worship is idolatry, my friends. I hope that you are ignited, that you will search these matters out for yourselves. We don't have any agenda here other than pleasing our Heavenly Father, Yahuwah. It's our only objective. You understand? So, we will continue to make every effort to be to our Heavenly Father what He wants us to be, what He is leading us to do and be, and to be supportive to whomever we can. That's our obligation. That's our responsibility. And once again, the masses won't get there unless they too come to terms that the things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. This has been your hope for today. Uzul Yahu bidding you peace in the only true name of salvation, and may His peace be upon you.